Good morning everyone, it's Chris van der Kerk here at Blue Rhino Safaris. This is the feedback video on the Orange River top to bottom tour that we did in February. And a nice early morning here in Gauteng, and I thought what better way to start the morning than with the picture of the Kakumas campsite. The river in full flow, the sun rising. It was a spectacular sight on this morning, so yes, let's move into what the trip was all about. To give you an idea of the river system, there's this map by Department of Water Affairs that you can see on the internet, and it's live. And it shows the three basic, or the three main systems. The bottom one, which is the Orange River system, coming from Lesotho through to Gariep, Van der Kloof and the rest. And then you have the secondary system at the top, which comes via Maseru, that's the Caledon River. That runs all the way down to the Gariep. And then the third system would be the top system, which is the Vaal. And the Vaal runs down all the way, and the confluence is at Douglas. The red number shows you the dam levels. So you can see on the left, Boegeberg 157, Van der Kloof 108, Gariep 107. And the blue number shows you the flow rates in cubic meters per second, or cumics. The Vaal was at 670 at this point. The Kliplaat Dam 709. Uppington was at 2,227. Boegeberg 2,600. So there was a bit of a wave behind on its way towards Uppington at Boegeberg. Van der Kloof 1,200 cumics. Gariep Dam 1,040 cumics. The tunnel outlet into the Nelson Mandela Bay area, only 40, so there was not much leaving the system. But yeah, this is where all the water comes from. And as far as I can recall, the 1981 high levels were 7,800 cumics at Uppington. The second highest in 2011, I think it was at 3,800, 4,500, somewhere there. This year it peaked at around 3,000 again, and we were there when we arrived at Ugrabis, we were there at about 1,800 to 2,000. So not the same height as they had in 1981, but definitely one of the top 5 in the last 50 years. So very spectacular, really a very nice trip, and very nice to see the river like this. So the reference I have is the reference of October last year, just after the dry season, and we arrived at where the river flows into South Africa from Lesotho. It becomes the Orange River, and this is very much what we saw last year when we traveled in from the Lesotho side, or from Zastron down over the river. And now I'm morphing over to the new photo, and you can see the swell in the river. Now it's not looking like a lot, but I can guarantee you it's quite significant. So the flow at this point is more, maybe double, maybe 3 times more than we had last year. And it should have given us an idea of what was to be downstream. You can see it's very green, and also looking very pretty. Now looking on the map, we are now moving down to the Gariep Dam. Gariep at this point was at 107%, and this is what Gariep looked like. Lovely flow, very noisy, lots of water going through there. The Gariep had its peak at about 124%, but it's dropped down at this point to about 107%. Then down further, if you look on the map, you'll see we are on our way to Van der Kloof. Now Van der Kloof, last year when we were there, we had this image of Van der Kloof Dam, still very pretty. This is from below the wall, obviously. And the level on the other side wasn't too low. It was probably about 3 meters below the overflow. And then when we arrived this year, it looked a little bit different. Water was overflowing. The river was really quite swollen. They were busy with a survey on the dam on the day, so we had to rush to get off the dam wall, but very impressive. This is the second biggest dam in our system. The biggest dam is the Gariep in South Africa. The second biggest is the Van der Kloof Dam. And obviously overflowing. So our river system was really full. From there we traveled down to Orania. Very nice breakfast, just a quick visit to the town of Orania before we turned north to Mokala. Now Mokala, I can't show you no pictures because I took none, but we did see rhino in Mokala. We saw the antelope species and spent a very nice relaxing day at Mokala itself. Then from Mokala we traveled further down. On the map you'll see we didn't go to Boegeberg Dam on the day, it was just overflowing. So we skipped Boegeberg, but we went to the confluence as well. And then from the confluence at Douglas, we went down to Uppington, stocked up our food, sorted out everything that we needed to do. And then the next day it was time to travel down to Grabis. So Grabis is here in the river. You can see it there, 2,200 and something. And this was the view from the far end to see the whole fall itself. The water is quite magnificent. Coming down there, it is spectacular. There's nothing that can describe it. You have to see it, you have to feel it. The winds that's generated by the water, the forces that you can feel in the rocks, it's absolutely amazing. And then obviously you can just send your wife to take a nice interesting picture of her when she's standing out close to the water. Really spectacular stuff to see that massive amount of water. It feels very intimidating. Then we finished at the Grabis, onto Kakamas for the traditional wine tasting and night next to the river in Kakamas. And again the river was swollen, lovely sunrise, and from here we set off on the Namakwa 4x4 route. Now on the Namakwa 4x4 route we had a few problems. The river was swollen to such an extent that we had to find detours in a few places, going around rather than through areas. Not a problem, it was just a few detours and a few having to find a map to find out where to go. Otherwise, the people that have seen this picture before, you know where this is. It's on the grass embankment at Ramonsdrift, and we normally camp down in the riverbed next to the river. Lovely campsite. And this year when we arrived there, it was just this is the entrance into the campsite. You drive down this to the river and turn right onto the grass embankment. And as you can see this year, there was just no chance. So we had to camp on the top, normally where people go to make their toilet. That's where we had to camp, just to get out of the water. But a lovely campsite actually up there with the river in flood. It gives you a very nice view of the river, and this is where we used to fish, and where the river makes its turn on the side with all the rocks on the side. So yeah, we camped on the side, and then from there we carried on with the Namakwa 4x4 route, and this is the traditional let's stand and see our guys do going up the hill. So we were obviously doing our thing going up the hill. Yeah, this is the biggest 4x4 section on the whole trip. Going up the hill, just a few axle twisters, a bit of loose rock, a bit of an incline, but nothing too difficult. A little bit of fun, gets the adrenaline flowing, and yeah, you have to work in a little bit of 4x4 stuff on a 4x4 trip, I guess. Otherwise you can't really call it a 4x4 trip. But no problems there, everybody got up fine. We had caravan or large trailers, so no issues at all. From there onto the Whip campsite, and if you've ever been to the Whip campsite you will not recognize it. The Whip campsite is completely underwater. You camp on the edge, right up there where the little bush or / tree line is. That is the area that we camped in. For those who got stuck in October, if you look down the river on this side, you will see there's a dusty spot which is now totally underwater. So we camped on a beach. It felt very much like being on a holiday at the coast somewhere. So I have another tour going out later this year. I'll put down the link on the email. And then next year, February, I'm going to do the trip again. I can't guarantee that we'll have another good flood happening while we're there, but the trip will go out more or less the same time, and it will be pretty much the same route that we take, depending on what the river forces us to do and whatnot. So if you're interested in doing one of these tours, then please let me know. As I said, the one at the end of the year is almost fully booked. The new one for next year, February, will be out shortly.